One of the investigators asked the spirit to reveal themselves. Moments later, this happened. Welcome back to our 31 Days of Horror. If you're new here, October is a very special month for this channel. We call it the Creepy Marathon Month, and we upload a creepy video every single day. Most of the videos feature cases of the paranormal, although we usually throw in some supernatural, alien, or just creepy unsolved mysteries into the mix. If you're a fan of anything horror, then you'll love what we're up to. So without further ado, enjoy these 5 scary and strange, true horror stories, footage and encounters. The Moving Chair. This piece of footage was sent in by Gateshead Paranormal, a small team of paranormal investigators who share their exploration experiences on their YouTube channel, also named Gateshead Paranormal. After having a conversation in a local pub, the owner of a residential house in Rowland Gill, Gateshead, Tyne and Wear in the north of England, invited the investigators to check out his home. He suspected he was sharing his space with some uninviting ghostly visitors, and had been convinced that his house was haunted since he moved in 18 months ago. Due to strange occurrences that couldn't be explained, cupboards opened by themselves, and odd events took place, such as a sauce bottle being turned on its side for no apparent reason, and his dog standing and staring into space, which was unusual behaviour, as he never did that in his previous home. While on the 16th of August 2015, the investigators set up their specialist equipment, and at around 10:20 PM, one of the investigators asked the spirits to reveal themselves. Moments later, this happened. Take a look. The team conducted research on the property before their investigation and discovered that the house had been built on woodland. They also learned that the current owner had made significant renovations to the property, which can stir up spirits. After capturing footage of a chair moving, the team were astonished. They had never recorded anything like that before, and it was the most compelling evidence that they had gathered during their investigations. So did they manage to capture the spirit that was troubling the homeowner, or could there be another more plausible explanation? What do you think? Creepy Fort Boise Military Reserve Cemetery. The Fort Boise Military Reserve Cemetery is located on a quiet slope above the city in Idaho. At first glance, it just seems like an overgrown patch of land with weathered stones, but for over a century, it has become a site where Boise's history and the supernatural intertwine. The cemetery originated from the Fort Boise Barracks burial ground, which was located near Cottonwood Creek. After floods in the early 1900s washed away graves, the recoverable remains were moved to the current hillside in 1906 and 1907. With over 200 burials, including soldiers and their families, many graves remain unmarked, leaving their occupants largely forgotten, yet still present in some way. From the beginning, tales of hauntings have surrounded the cemetery. Joggers along Mountain Cove Road report seeing a man appear and vanish as he crosses the pavement. Others have heard children playing when no one is there, or spotted a fleeting woman dressed in black among the stones. Accounts of soldiers in old uniforms also persist, often seen standing or pacing as if still on duty. After the reburial of Civil War era remains in 1998, locals noted a heightened restlessness in the cemetery. Visitors would also describe subtle experiences such as sudden temperature drops and the sensation of being watched. Some mention a man by an old cottonwood who acknowledges the living before fading away. So when one of our awesome viewers sent us in a photograph taken at the cemetery, we took note. Take a look at this. You can see a figure along the back fence. Is this photographic proof that the sightings and legends surrounding the cemetery are actually true? What do you think? Ong's Hat. The New Jersey Pine Barrens are home to numerous abandoned villages, many of which have been deserted for decades. One of the most notorious of these ghost towns is Ong's Hat, which has become central to one of the internet's earliest conspiracy-style myths. and it's pretty creepy. Legend has it that a resident of the Pine Barrens was once a flashy young gentleman named Ong. And while his first name is unknown, Ong is an old Pine Barrens name, with one of the earliest settlers being Jacob Ong. This younger Ong was a familiar face at local dances, renowned for charming the ladies with his elegant moves and stylish attire, especially his silk hat. Today he would be known as a player. He would flirt and dance with as many women as possible. Well, one evening, one of his love interests discovered his antics, and in a fit of anger attacked him, took his hat and stomped it flat. Drunk and distraught over losing his prized hat, Ong stormed outside and threw the ruined hat into the air, where it landed high in the branches of a pine tree. The hat remained there for years, becoming a landmark by which people could find the small village, which soon became known as Ong's Hat. As industries faded and the Pine Barrens became more desolate, Ong's Hat nearly vanished from memory. Today, no one lives there, only ruins, overgrown foundations, and remnants of the past. The village might have disappeared into obscurity were it not for a strange story that surfaced in the late 20th century, a claim that Ong's Hat was a gateway to another dimension. This unusual tale is chronicled in Joseph Matheny's book, Ong's Hat, The Beginning, which is a great read for this time of the year. According to Matheny's account, the Moorish Orthodox Church of America was founded in the 1950s by jazz musicians and poets who had previously belonged to the Newark-based Moorish Science Temple. These seekers traveled widely, absorbing spiritual practices from teachers across the East. One of them, Wali Fard, returned from his journeys in 1978 and used his savings to purchase 200 acres in the New Jersey Pine Barrens, along with a group that included runaway boys from Paramus and 2 lesbian anarchists. He established the Moorish Science Ashram. Fard began publishing zeroed newsletters, proclaiming his ideas, attracting outcasts and spiritual seekers. Among them were Frank and Athlia Dobbs, 2 scientists ostracized for their radical theories. The Dobbs twins grew up in Texas within a UFO worshipping cult led by their father, so they were no strangers to life on society's fringe. After being dismissed from Princeton for submitting doctoral, these based on what they called cognitive chaos, they came to the Pines and set up a makeshift laboratory where they pursued their theories on harnessing untapped areas of the brain to stop aging and cure disease. Their work inspired the creation of the Institute of Chaos Studies. Progress came faster than expected. Within 3 years, the scientists had developed a device known as the egg. By attaching subjects to computers and mapping their brainwaves, while experimenting with sex, drugs, and other mind-altering methods, they claimed to have learned how to control mental chaos. The 4th version of the egg was tested on one of Paramus's runaways. When activated, the boy and the machine vanished, only to reappear moments later. He supposedly insisted that he had traveled to a parallel dimension, which they declared as the opening of the gate. Apparently, when a chemical spill from nearby Fort Dix began to contaminate the Pine Barrens with nuclear waste, the Institute members decided not to flee outward, but to go inward, or rather elsewhere. Using the gate, they transported themselves and their belongings into another dimension, where Ong's Hat still existed, but humanity did not. Rumors spread that their experiments led to bloodshed. Some claimed that government forces, perhaps Delta Force, or even foreign operatives, raided the compound and killed several members. Whether this was fact or fiction remains unclear. Skeptics argue that Matheny's book and the accompanying Incunabula papers, a set of strange documents he released online in the early 1990s, were an elaborate internet hoax. Matheny himself has admitted to finding and publishing these texts, although it's unclear if they existed outside of his own creation. Some insist it's nothing more than a clever hoax, while others believe he has concealed the truth within fiction to protect himself. The mystery of Ong's Hat continues to this day. Was it genuinely the site of interdimensional experiments, or one of the earliest and most elaborate online hoaxes? Whatever the truth, the legend endures as one of the strangest stories to emerge from the Pine Barrens, captivating those who wonder whether fact and fiction might sometimes occupy the same space. The 7 Gables Ghost Boy. This image was taken at the historic house of the 7 Gables Mansion in Salem, Massachusetts. The house was built in 1668 and was once the home of author Nathaniel Hawthorne's cousin, Susanna Ingersoll. Hawthorne's visits to the house gave him the inspiration for his famous novel, The House of the Seven Gables. Nowadays the house is a museum that receives many visitors every year. It also has a reputation as being haunted. In 2013, visitor Lisa B. snapped a photo of the house and noticed the ghostly image of a small boy in the shrubbery, peering over the wooden fence. What is even more remarkable about this photograph is that after Lisa did some research on the house and Hawthorne's connection to it, that's when she discovered one of his lesser-known books, 20 Days with Julian and Little Bunny by Papa, a story about a time when Hawthorne was left to look after his 5-year-old son Julian for 3 weeks whilst his wife was away. She realised the portrait of little Julian on the front of the book cover bears a striking resemblance to the boy peering over the fence in her photograph. What do you think? Coincidence, hoax, stray child, or the ghost of Julian? The Circleville Letters. Now we'll close off with what remains one of the most unsettling unsolved mysteries in American true crime. This story begins in 1976 in Circleville, Ohio, when residents started receiving anonymous letters postmarked from nearby Columbus. The notes, written in a blocky and awkward script, accused individuals of personal misconduct and revealed private details about their lives, threatening to expose their rumored dark secrets. They were not confined to one person, but spread through the community, causing fear and suspicion among neighbors. The first known target was Mary Gillespie, a local school bus driver. She received letters accusing her of having an affair with Gordon Macy, the school superintendent. The anonymous letter warned her to end the alleged relationship or risk exposure. Soon her husband Ron and others in town began receiving similar threats, and in August 1977, the tension escalated when Ron received a mysterious phone call believed to be from the letter writer. He left his home angrily with his gun and shortly after died in a car crash. His truck struck a tree, and investigators discovered that his weapon had been fired once, though no bullet was recovered. The strange circumstances of his death, whether accident, suicide or foul play, have never been resolved. Despite Ron's death, the letters continued, and over the next several years, more people were targeted, including public officials, law enforcement, and private citizens. And then in 1983, the campaign took a more violent turn, when Mary nearly fell victim to a booby trap placed along her bus route. The device was a box rigged with a pistol, designed to fire when opened. The gun was traced back to Paul Fresshauer, Mary's former brother-in-law, who was arrested and charged with attempted murder. Despite the evidence against him being circumstantial, including his access to the weapon and alleged inconsistencies in his story, he was convicted and sentenced to prison. However, after his incarceration, the letters did not stop. Residents continued to receive them, and Fresshauer himself received letters while in prison. Officials insisted that he could not have sent them, which cast serious doubt on his guilt. Supporters argued that he had been framed, while others maintained that he was at least partly responsible. Fresshauer himself always insisted on his innocence until his death in 2012. The prevailing opinion is that Fresshauer authored the letters and set up the booby trap, possibly due to family tensions. However, handwriting experts could not definitively link him to the notes. Some analysts suggested that the handwriting was disguised, while others proposed that multiple authors may have been involved. Another theory suggests the town itself harbored more secrets than it appeared, with various individuals using the anonymous campaign to settle personal grievances. Additionally, some believe that the true writer of the letters has never been identified and could be a local resident with a deep understanding of the families in Circleville. The creepy letters of Circleville serve as a chilling reminder of how fear and suspicion can undermine a community, and even though Paul Fresshauer was convicted, the case still remains unsolved. To this day, the identity of the letter writer or writers has never been fully confirmed, and the mystery continues to captivate investigators, journalists, true crime enthusiasts, and people like us. So that's it for this video. We hope you enjoyed this volume of the Creepy Marathon Month. we'll see you right back here tomorrow for another spooky video.